Hi everyone and welcome to this webinar. This is our third webinar Wednesday of 8. So this week we're going to be looking at policy reform and community change, and we have a few guest speakers. Before I start, I just want to give some housekeeping. So basically this is going to be recorded and we're going to use it for upload on our Lurgus page and also use for other training purposes. So if people don't feel comfortable with their face on camera or anything like that, please feel free to turn off your camera or give me a shout afterwards. We're also going to be muting people during it for this presentation part, but we'll be looking at questions and answers afterwards as well. My colleague Pia is going to do an introduction of what's going to happen today and go through kind of the agenda. So I'll put her on now. I'll share my screen for a minute.
Thanks, Carmel. So I'm just going to turn off my video while I present for fear of internet dropping. So hi everyone, I'm Pia and I'm the Senior Policy and Strategic Alliances Officer in Lurgus. And I'm here with my colleague Suzanne, who is responsible for the European Solidarity Corps. And we're just going to run you through the agenda and then some elements of the program for today before we hand over to our guest speakers. So hopefully you can all hear me. A little thumbs up. As you can see on the screen, this is the agenda for today. So we're going to have some short presentations and then hopefully we'll have about 20 minutes at the end for some questions and answers. And we'll also, I know Carmel is planning to follow up with participants after today, just with some useful resources and links and things like that. And we're on hand to answer any questions that might remain unanswered today as well, because I know we're a little bit limited on time as well. Suzanne and I are going to look at two of the programs that we manage in Lurgus. One is Erasmus+, which many of you might be already familiar with, and also the European Solidarity Corps. And we're going to look at just 2 or 3 elements of these programs because we're conscious at the moment that a lot of people are obviously looking more to kind of what opportunities exist at a national level in light of the current COVID-19 crisis. So we decided that for today it might be really useful to look at some of those options, because I know that often the assumption is that with Erasmus+, you know, it has to be more at a transnational level or at a European level. So we thought that today we might just break down some of the components of these 2 programs that we manage, just so you get an idea of what's also possible at a national level. And then once we're done with that, we'll hand over to Jean-Marie from the National Youth Council of Ireland, Kay from Involve, and Dana, who've all been involved in various different projects under Erasmus+ and the Solidarity Corps. So I might just kick you off then with Erasmus+ and Key Action 3, which is the support for policy reform stream of funding. So most of you here today are probably familiar with Erasmus+, but for those of you who aren't, is a 7-year European funding program that supports education, training, youth and sport in Europe. And the program runs from 2014 to 2020. So just to note that this is the last year of the program and there will be a new program next year with certain changes, but broadly speaking, the structure will remain the same. So there's 3 key actions under Erasmus+, and today we're going to focus mainly on Key Action 3, but obviously if people have any kind of questions around any of the other key actions, we're on hand to answer those as well afterwards. So I'll just jump straight to the support for policy reform, which is the Key Action 3. And Key Action 3 is the only key action under Erasmus+ where you can have projects purely at a national level. They're also generally smaller projects in terms of budget. So if you look at on the screen here, it says that the maximum amount of funding that you can apply for a Key Action 3 project is €50,000. So that's quite small in comparison to some of the bigger projects that are available under the other funding streams. However, it's also a really good opportunity, and you'll see this from our speakers, to work at a more local level and to really engage young people in policy reform discussions with decision makers, with policy makers, and to really engage young people in decisions that affect their lives. So as you can see on the screen here, young people at a local, national and European level are supported to discuss together with decision makers issues and policies that affect their lives. And there's a whole host of different decision makers that can be involved in these projects. So I've just outlined some examples, but it can be even at a more localized level than that. I mean, you could have a project with the Gardaí, for example, or with teachers or with youth workers, etc. So anyone who could be a decision maker in a young person's life. And some examples of activities are, you know, meetings, events, debates and discussions, consultations, but you'll see from our other speakers that you can get really creative with these projects as well, I think. And one of the things that we always try to do in Lergus is really support any form of, I suppose, activities that support young people to take part in policy reform discussions. So just to quickly, I suppose, kind of give you an overview of the kind of logistical side of things. So as I mentioned before, there's 50,000 euro available to projects, and projects can run from 6 months. They can be 6 months to 24 months in duration. So you can have a relatively short project that might focus just say on one particular consultation, or you can have a longer project with more outputs possibly at the end. The project is geared at young people up to the age of 30, and you have to have a minimum of 30 participants. And in terms of who can apply, it's really quite broad. It's any organization that's active in the youth field. So we have the National Youth Council of Ireland. They've been involved for a long time in Key Action 3 projects. Involve Mead, Kay is here from Involve. They've also done Key Action 3 projects, but we also run projects, for example, with organizations like the Central Remedial Clinic, who are seen as a disability organization, or a provider, I suppose, of disability services, but who still engage very strongly, obviously, with young people. So it doesn't even necessarily have to be a youth work organization as people might think. And in terms of project partners, these projects can take part at an international level or at a European level, but they don't have to. So you can do the project without a project partner if you so choose, which, you know, to some people might be an advantage at the minute. And it's also a really nice way, I think, to kind of dip your toes into Erasmus Plus if you've never done a project before. So that's just like a really quick overview. And we'll have more time at the end for questions, and you'll get more of a sense from our speakers as well about what else is possible under Key Action 3. But I hope that gives you a sense. And if anyone has any burning questions at the minute, I'm happy to answer those. But as I said, we will take most questions at the end.
No. Okay.
No questions?
Will I keep going then? Okay, so that was straight in. So yeah, I'm Suzanne Kavanagh. As he said, I coordinate the European Solidarity Corps for Lergus. So like Pia said, about Erasmus Plus, in the same way, the European Solidarity Corps is a large programme. It runs obviously separately from the Erasmus Plus programme. So you'll see there from the diagram, there's lots of different opportunities that I'm not going to go into today. But just to say that there is, and that if you have any questions about this, please come and ask me. There's no bother with that. But today I'm just going to concentrate on the volunteering strand, and under that then the solidarity projects and the in-country opportunities. So, sorry, Carmel, can you just go to the next slide? Yeah, so volunteering in country. So these are activities that can take place in the same country as the country of the residence of the participant, and this is to support and encourage young people to participate who have fewer opportunities. And what they mean about that is maybe some barriers to participation. So things like, you know, maybe they're afraid, maybe the parents have concerns, maybe they haven't traveled before, or lots of different reasons. And then these opportunities are to provide opportunities where national schemes do not exist. And in Ireland, we don't have that, so it's nicely placed. So the budget then for that would be 2 volunteers from Ireland volunteering for a year in Ireland. They still get their small amount of travel. There's an organisational support, so per volunteer you get a lump sum of €225. For the activity costs, then that's €27 per day per volunteer. They get their pocket money. And there's also things like inclusion support and exceptional costs. So inclusion support is for those participants who have fewer opportunities. And then exceptional costs would be for all of those other things that they may need in order to participate. There's also things called complementary activities, and they're activities that strengthen the impact of your project. So whatever you're trying to do, you might do something to enhance that. The impact, I suppose, is change. So what is the change that you want to see in the community? So the European Solidarity Corps is all about that. It's all about bringing young people closer to the issues in the community and having them as agents of change, so that the impact then is not only just felt within that target group that maybe the organizations are feeling or are working with, but also within the community, but also for that young person to feel connected to that change and to feel that they have been an active citizen and acted in we'll call it active empathy. So they've acted in a way of empathy. So and these in-country activities are also on the occupational strand. So you can do an in-country job and an in-country traineeship as well. But I just thought that I'd give you a sense of the volunteering one, or a better sense. And then solidarity projects then, these are projects initiated, developed and implemented by a group of young people. So there's a minimum of 5. They must clearly present with a European dimension, and but the good thing is that young people don't need a quality label to apply for all the other strands they do. The organisations do. I suppose with the idea then to clearly present with the European dimension is exactly that. It's taking not just these local issues and understanding them, but that understanding that actually these have national policy and implications, and also European. So it's connecting all of this line maybe of connecting the local to the global. And you'll hear about this more then with Sana as well later on. And so the sample budget then is the young people then would manage €500 per month themselves. They can also apply for a coach, and the coach, they can apply for the coach for up to 12 days, and that's €241 per day. They also can apply for exceptional costs and other special need costs and stuff like that. So if there's any barriers to participation, there's all of that flexibility and accessibility in the programme for young people to participate. And we've been delighted to see that actually young people have recognised that, have looked at that and said, well, what do we need in order to get the people that we need involved in the project, have them all involved in every way they can. So that's been great to see with the solidarity projects. And I suppose that's kind of all I'm covering today. But like I said, that's a very small part of the programme, and I'll be delighted to hear any questions or answer any questions. It's okay? Okay. So yeah, Jean Marie.
I'm up. Thanks, Suzanne. So my name is Jean Marie Cullen. I'm from the National Youth Council of Ireland, and we lead out on the EU Youth Dialogue process in Ireland, along with our partners, Lergus, the Department of Children and Youth Affairs, and NUI Youth. We're all involved in this EU Youth Dialogue, along with lots of young people. And just a bit about the EU Youth Dialogue itself. So it's the youth participation mechanism for the European Union. So it all started back in 2010 when a few European leaders got together and thought we need a more structured way of talking with and consulting with young people in Europe. Prior to this, there had been lots of European youth conferences where brilliant conferences where you got lots of young people together and discussed issues that were important to them, but there was nowhere where those recommendations were actually feeding into, no process. So the EU Youth Dialogue process sought to bring young people together with policymakers and change the structures so that young people actually had somewhere that these recommendations and their opinions would feed into. So at the moment, so they created the EU Youth Dialogue process and brought young people together with policymakers, and their recommendations actually go towards the work of the youth working parties, which are all representatives of the different youth ministries throughout Europe. So all these representatives of the youth ministries are working on these recommendations and then feeding them into the Council of Ministers meetings. So the youth ministers all get together and actually adopt some of these recommendations, turn them into council conclusions and the ultimate like council resolutions. So it's a great process potentially for young people actually affecting change. So roll it there, Roisin, as they used to say. Thanks, Carmel. Next slide. So this, as I said, lots of young people are involved at a national level and a local level in the EU Youth Dialogue. In Ireland, we call it Young Voices. And these young people came up with their own mission here in this slide to create a better future by empowering young people to influence decision making. So really they want to connect with other young people, with their communities, and connect with decision makers. And I think that's the key change, is actually that they're co-designing change and they're working together with policymakers to affect change and make a difference. So this is how the structure actually works. Young people are involved in the exploration of themes. They get involved in a consultation at a local or a national level, and these consultations from each member state are fed into a European consultation process. And then the most important bit is there's recommendations coming out of that. And you can see here that there's an implementation stage. So really the young people and the decision makers should work together on implementing some of the recommendations that are coming out of the EU Youth Dialogue process. In this slide, it illustrates that then it goes on to a European level, as I explained, but it's also unique in Ireland that there is somewhere for these recommendations and opinions of young people to feed into a national policy as well. If you, Carmen, go to the next slide, you'll see that there is one of the four at the bottom is the EU Structured Dialogue Process, or the EU Youth Dialogue Process as it's known now, and that feeds directly into the Children and Young People's Policy Consortium, which is chaired by the Minister for Children and Youth Affairs, and there's representatives from all the different departments at that consortium. So it's a good opportunity if young people are coming up with recommendations that aren't necessarily the competencies of the children and DCYA. There are representatives on that from all the different departments. So it's a great potential there for young people to affect change and have their voice heard. And these are the EU Youth Goals. There's 11 of them. And this actually demonstrates how the process can work, because these youth goals didn't exist up till a couple of years ago. So the young people came up with these EU Youth Goals, and they then used the process to give them life. They are now part of the EU Youth Strategy, which was adopted by the Council of Ministers. So that demonstrates how the young people are using the process to actually affect policy. So these are the themes that the young people work off now in the process. So this slide represents how it works in Ireland as such. We call it Young Voices. There's a national, in the background there you can see there's a national event going on. So we have national events, there's young people from all over Ireland come to these events, some of them getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, very dedicated young people, and really do make an effort to have their voice heard. We also, though, if young people don't wish to get involved at a national level, or maybe that's just a couple of steps further than what they're ready for, we'll go to where the young people are at. And we work very closely with youth workers and youth organizations to ensure that we meet them where the young people are at so that they can engage in the process. It's very fluid. The process is very fluid. Young people kind of engage for a few years. Some have been involved for years, then they might go away and do something and then come back to it. On average, we'd feel that there's probably about half new people at the national events and half young people that have been involved for years. And we make an effort to ensure that the young people feel confident to engage at the conferences that we have by providing training. So we do a lot of youth facilitation training. We do residentials where they would have change makers academies. We also have creative advocacy training so the young people feel that they can use their voice. So this is an example of some of the reports that come out of the work that the young people are doing. This one is an illustration of all the reports can be found, the larger reports on the youth.ie/Young Voices website. But this is an illustration of some of the outcomes and questions to policy and decision makers the young people had around an inclusive, diverse and connected Europe, which was one of the themes a few years back. And the young people, and this is another, it's actually interesting because this came from January 2018, I see, where the young people are talking about what their needs in a situation of times of crisis. So it's actually very apt for now. So these are the kind of outputs from the process, but we do find that the impact of the process, the young people engaging in the process, go beyond the outputs. Young people have said that the impact for them is having their voice heard. And we have an animation actually where we just got the young people at one of the events we just recorded the audio of the young people talking about what the impact of being involved in the process was for them. And overwhelmingly what came out was that the young people felt that it was a great opportunity, and sometimes the only opportunity they would have, to meet with young people that from diverse backgrounds, to that whole issue of the diverse voice and hearing from young people that they would not normally meet in their day-to-day setting, that the Young Voices process gave them that opportunity. So if you want to go to the next slide there. So we do emphasize a lot that whole issue of inclusion. It's very important to the process and the young people that are involved. And so we engage with youth organizations, as Pia mentioned. There are some organizations out there, for instance, CRC and St. John of God's. So young people would come along with their youth workers. I know Kay is from Involve is here today. She would have initiated the involvement of the young people that are now involved in the process, and maybe then they would begin to start coming themselves. And also the young people with disabilities, it's for us, it's fine for the youth workers to come along and to support their young people to engage in the process. Next. So there's one of the issues that we work on, and the next slide there is resilience, another issue. So there's a number of issues that would resonate at a local level. And if you are thinking of doing a K3 and maybe a bit daunted about it, these you could pick a very local issue that's really important to the young people that you work with, and then we'd be happy to work with you to get you involved in the wider, more national Young Voices EU Youth Dialogue process. So therefore your more local issue can have a national and even European context. So we'd be happy to help with the application and to support your young people getting involved. And some of the young people go on then to engage at a European level, go to the EU youth conferences, and I find that other young people are great support in that. And this is a picture, I picked this because Kay's coming up after me. So I found a great picture of Kay. I don't come off very well in this picture either. But this is one of our smaller training days. So the next slide will show that at the end of each event that we give young people an opportunity to essentially get up on their soapbox and talk about the activities that they may be involved in their own organizations. So it's really inspiring to see all the different organizations, the young people coming from so many different initiatives and organizations that they love to take the opportunity to talk about what their organization is doing, what great campaigns that and initiatives that they're working on. So we would welcome any youth organizations or youth workers, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a youth organization, because we also engage with our intercultural and equality program, the Making Links project, which would be youth leaders that aren't necessarily affiliated to a youth organization, but working on their capacity. And we're happy to link in with those and help to work on their capacity to engage with us. So you're welcome to join us. Thank you very much. And I'll hand you over to Kay now from Involve Meath.
Hi everybody, my name is Kay McCabe. I'm the coordinator of Involve New Project Meath. We work with young people from the travelling community from the age of about 7 up to the age of about 20 is our oldest participant. We have 2 projects. We've one in Navan and Trim, and our journey through Erasmus has been very interesting and very natural at the same time. We first participated in an Erasmus project without even knowing it was even an Erasmus project, when we supported a young person who just contacted me through our Facebook page to come from Spain and to do volunteer. At the time it was called the Leonardo da Vinci project. So I hadn't really heard of the Erasmus program before or anything like that, so it was very, very new to me, and as I said, we were doing it without even realizing we were doing it. So then we embarked in 2016 on our first youth exchange. Also in 2016, we devised a toolkit in 2014, we devised a toolkit to help mainstream youth services work with and engage and support young people in their own services from the travelling community, because we found that mainstream youth services were saying it was very hard to support and retain young travellers. So that was a project we did with Yanni up in the north of Ireland, Munyad Huber, and then there was some group from Manchester, I can't remember the name of them. So that was our involvement was to have the youth voice in that. So then in 2016, we engaged in our first youth exchange, which was very exciting. We were the first group to bring a mixed group of young travellers in Europe, of boys and girls. Before that, it was either just male or just female. So it was very exciting, and we've done 5 now. Unfortunately, we've had to cancel one this year with all that's going on. It's not been possible. So I won't say cancel, we're postponing it. It's been pushed back. We also started engaging with MICI in the Youth Voices in about 2015, 2016. And Jean Marie did such a good job of telling my young people they could have a voice that they then put on the pressure on us to have their own voice. And it was literally on the bus on the way home from a Young Voices event that one of our young people kind of said, you know, the way we were at that thing? And I was like, yeah, did you enjoy that thing? And they were like, yeah, could we have our own? So then was planted the seed for us developing our own K3 structured dialogue project in Ireland. And we really wanted to centre around traveller mental health because unfortunately suicide rates are 7 times higher within the travelling community than they are within the settlement community. And nobody in our project had not been touched by suicide and quite close to them. So we were coming to a stage where we really felt like we had to do something before we started going to funerals of our own young people. So we came up with the idea for the Good Nook project. So the Good Nook project, Nook means head in Cant, which is traveller language. That was over 18 months. It was a lot of work, and foolishly I probably should have done it over the 2 years like is recommended. So give yourself more time, not less time. But it was a really successful project, and it actually did as it said on the tin. We from that Good Enough project, we had conferences all around Ireland. So we wanted to be as inclusive of youth voice as possible. And we were in Letterkenny, we were in Galway, we were in Mayo, we were in Dublin, we were in Mullingar, and then we had some in our own in Meath. And Jean Marie very kindly came to our very first one to support us, which was great to have someone beside me who I knew what she was doing. So it was great. I could look at her every so often for a nice little nod of reassurance. So from the Good Nook project, we then came up with, or the young people, sorry, I should say, came up with an idea for a No Shame project. So the No Shame project is completely based around mental health and that nothing should cause shame. So, you know, being gay or from the LGBT community, or not being married as a young traveller, or being married, or being a traveller, or anything should cause shame. And then the connotations that shame can affect them with your mental health. And not only that, then the shame that's associated with going and looking for help if you need it for your mental health. So through this No Shame project, then the HSE actually contacted us, which was amazing, and they included us in their Connecting for Life policy. So that was a huge thing to see that the project really progressed the way it did. And from there, the No Shame project has just continued to grow. We've just recently got funding from Facebook to develop a No Shame mental health board game. So that we were going to give out free to as many youth services and schools around the county and country as we can. So that's very exciting. Our posters that we've developed have gone to England. They were all around Ireland. You know what I mean? It's really been a really good project. And that all started with the Erasmus K3 project. We never would have seen it develop and go in the beginning, in the initial starting phase of it. Our staff have also done training through Erasmus. I myself did my level 8 with Lergus last year on European Youth Mobility Management, which is a lovely long title. Found it really, really helpful for writing projects and things like that. Then in 2018, we registered for the quality label because I kept bumping into Suzanne and she kept giving me funny looks. I know. We decided that we should go and to kind of keep progressing. Our young people were getting older, and we were retaining our young people. And we always say one of the main reasons we are retaining our young people is because of the Erasmus Plus program. There's no carrot like offering a young person the opportunity to go away in Ireland for a week with a group of other young people from Europe and then go to their country for a week. So we're finding we're retaining our young people. So by us retaining our young people, we have to grow and develop and look for the next stage. So the next stage was ESC, or EVS as it was called. So the ESC, we registered for that and we got our college label. We were quite happy. So we sat on it for a little while, and then I met Suzanne again. She gave me another strange look, and we decided we better apply. So we actually applied to house a young person in country, and we're the first project to do that as well. So that was no pressure there. It's been a great opportunity because most of my young people, if not all of my young people, especially the ones who are from the travelling community, would not be allowed go to another country and volunteer, which sounds like, to a lot of people are kind of going, they're 18, 19, 20, how do you mean they're not allowed? what family say, and is very important to the traveling community. So it was something that we felt like if we were going to send them on an ESC abroad, maybe it would be for only 2 weeks, and you're kind of going, we could do a 2-week exchange or something like that. So why not give them the opportunity to volunteer within our own service? So initially, the girl that I had in mind for the ESC actually got pregnant while before the ink was dried on the application, and was quickly married off then. So we had to look for scratch again. So we put it out for interview, and our lovely Danny came up, and Danny has been with me since he was 11 years of age. So I've really seen Danny grow up. Danny has some learning difficulties. He's been in a special education school all his life. His comprehension level would probably be that of a 14 or 15-year-old, and his literacy level would probably be that of a 12 or 13-year-old. So we really felt like it was an opportunity to see Danny grow, but I was very concerned because he can be very reluctant to jump into situations, and he can hold himself back and be very shy. But by God, he has proven me wrong since September of 2019, and I've had the privilege of seeing him grow and become, as the other young people tell him now, you've gone to the dark side. He's actually one of us now. He's one of the youth work team. He's not one of the young people. And to see the young people look to him, you know what I mean, as a leader now is an amazing opportunity for him. Unemployment rate is so high within the traveling community that any opportunity I can give any young person to learn work skills and life skills for 12 months to make them more employable is so important to us, to create that opportunity. And for other young travellers, while it is considered a volunteer scheme, it's very much considered work as well. You know what I mean? Danny will say he's going to work. He's not going to say he's going to volunteer. So we recommend that Danny move to the town, which is only 10 kilometres away, which again does not seem like a big deal, but it was a big deal for Danny, and especially for Danny's mammy. So Danny moves from Monday to Thursday. Now, since COVID-19, he has gone back home, and he's working remotely like the rest of our team from a laptop. But he is still working. And even for that, Danny had a lot of reluctance around using the internet and working remotely. And he's like, hey, like, you know, I'm not good at this thing. And again, his skills have developed and changed so much in that. So it's been an amazing opportunity for us to travel through the Erasmus program. As I said, we fell into it from the beginning without knowing, then joining MICI's Young Voices opportunities, to our staff going and being trained, to doing our own traveller conference, to doing annually youth exchanges, which have now become a strategic part of our youth service. And again, now just for the last deadline, we've actually applied to host 2 ESC volunteers within Ireland, because they're all asking to do it now because Danny had such a good time. And Danny is boasting about it to everybody, about the opportunities. Danny went on a weekend with the ESC to bring all the volunteers together to meet other young ESCs. And I was so concerned about him going because, as I say, he is slightly developmentally immature at times. Well, he came back glowing. He had such a good time. It was lovely for him to go out, because I think at times even his mum treats him very young for his age, and it was nice for him to be amongst people his own age in their late teens, early 20s, and to be having the crack and to be having chats and things like that. So if you just want to go on to the next slide there, it's not really that important in it. So going to youth conferences and having youth voice has been a huge part of what we do within Involve. When young travellers are often referred to, they're often referred to as the lesser heard voices. And as one of my smart boys once said, lesser heard voices, Kay, do they not know how much you let us talk? And it is true, because for some young people, and I have spoken to other youth workers who work with other minority groups and things like that, that there is this fear that you're setting them up for failure, or you're setting them up for something they're not able for, or they're not into, or they're not going to meet like-minded people, or they're going to be made inferior. Like, as we just say to any young person who comes along to the first conference, and the very first one we went to at MICI was just sit and listen, take it in, have the lunch, you know, have a trip to Dublin. You know, you don't have to, you know, go and put your hand up and take the microphone. But now they take the microphone. We've had Brian and Shane take part in weekends with MICI, to become youth advocates and things like that. And it's been amazing opportunities. The facilitation skills that MICI have given our youth worker Brian, and he's only 21, to have the ability to have his voice and be very confident to have his voice heard, and to be able to know that what he has to say is valid and important. And it's not just a tick box event. It's not just something where you're there just to fill in, oh, we invited the travellers. No, it's very much, we are very much felt like when our young people are there, our young people are just as valid and just as important as all the other young people who get to go there. So our young people have also been like to the European Commission in Dublin and things like that. So this is just very, very what's become a common picture within Involve because of Erasmus Plus, and that is the airport greet. And it's an amazing opportunity. While, you know, this is the very first time that young people from two countries and two groups are getting to meet each other, and you can see there's a very kind of nervousness about it. The excitement and the opportunities that Erasmus creates for young people, both away and at home, is unbelievable. The fact that you can pick a topic and develop a K3 project and strategically plan how your young people are going to engage with policymakers and have the opportunity to devise the program themselves. We even let them pick what hostels we were going to stay in, what locations we were going to do it in. Like, you know, there was complete autonomy with the young people. Now, obviously, I had to keep an eye on the budget, but yeah, you know, things like that. It's just, they're amazing opportunities. And now with the opportunity to be able to do ESC in country and to be able to take another young person, either from within your service or from out your service, it's a great opportunity to jump in there as well, and to know that you can support them. So if anyone has any questions for me at the end, I'm more than happy to answer them, but I think that's it. And I'll pass you over now to Danza.
Dana.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, how are you? I just want to say thanks to Suzanne, first of all, for inviting me to this. I'm really happy to be here and to hear all of the amazing stories that I didn't know about. So I'm very happy, and I'm so happy that I heard now the story, Kay, that you said about, and I'm definitely going to look into your projects there after this. So very exciting. Anyway, I'm from Bosnia and Herzegovina. I'm living in Ireland for about now 5 years, and I'm here representing the Cabin Studio from Cork and my own very project that Largus is funding. And the project is called It's Okay Not to Be Okay. And if I can just get the first slide, please. So this is just us there recently doing the 1 billion rising in Cork. We were dancing together with the Sexual Violence Center, just breaking the stigma about sexual violence overall in the world. And I would call myself as well agent of change, because I think that's what I have been all my life. And just the fact that I'm coming from Bosnia and Herzegovina, I am a person, definitely, even though I had a good life, but I am a person with fewer opportunities. And then the fact that I went through direct provision, came to Ireland as asylum seeker, brought me to my motivation to change the world around me. And so what was my main motivation was that inequality in education, in life, simple things on the street, and then, I don't know, unfair treatment to younger people, to older people, I don't know, like Kay mentioned, the traveler community, to any community, to any minor community, social groups or anything. So just kind of unfair treatment within the groups. And then what was my biggest motivation as a person of fewer opportunity was seeing people with fewer opportunity and not having the same rights, or not being not being really able to get what the rest of the people are getting, which I would think that they are like, I don't know, human rights on the first place, which I put education on the first place. So I think we are agents of change I've been agent of change for all my life, even back in Bosnia, fighting through all of this, and now just being here in Ireland, and definitely just continue working with that. So I'm just going to say a little bit about my project here. So our project is called It's Okay Not to Be Okay. So we are obviously breaking a stigma about mental health, and we just I actually got introduced to this because I was going through the cabin studio. We went for a workshop with Largus and Nora Furlog, I think. And I remember saying that I will do it in the future, but just the fact how she represented everything, how much support we felt we are getting through Largus. At the moment, I actually applied for the first deadline. I didn't wait the second one. I was very motivated. And I got it, and we actually got two. One of the project is linked as well with the Youth Work Ireland and the hut in the north side of Cork. So, and another project is my project, which is going straight through the cabin studio. So all of that frustrations that I mentioned earlier on about being a person with fewer opportunities, seeing that unfair treatment around everyone, I kind of put all of that on the paper. And earlier on, someone said, this project allows you so much to be creative. And as you can see on the picture there, these are all projects that we've done so far. Even though with the pandemic, we still keep going. And I'm actually surprised how many things we managed to do. So the first one here is Sending Love. We decided that our group and our children from the kids from the cabin studio, we will write letters to nursing homes during the pandemics. So they all wrote their own kind of letter, give the support to everyone. So it was just lovely to see that person of fewer opportunities became agents of change immediately by giving an opportunity to someone else who is at the moment person in disadvantaged moment or in disadvantaged area. So it just made a perfect circle of what this project was all about. The second thing, second picture there was with the Sexual Violence Center in collaboration with them. We did 1 Billion Rising dancing, where you can see our young people from the cabin studio. They're 11 and they're dancing there. Especially the little one, MC Tiny, he's called Darren. And he's dancing there, and he wanted me to explain to him why is he dancing. And then I just talked to him about how we're not how all world isn't so lucky like in Ireland, that we have such a great support for sexual violence or violence in general. And then he was like, oh, I want to make songs about this. And it's just immediately that change. When person have that power of change in themselves, they're able to send it on to someone. And then tomorrow, Darren is going to be the main agent of change. So that's what our project is all about. Then we have there doing the art therapy course. These flowers here, and the main photo we did playback theater about helping our earth, which I still connect to mental health issues. I connect everything to mental health. So in order to help our mental health, we need to help our earth as well. So playback theater, we started collaborating with them, and the first one was just going green and in general, and the second one, which pandemic at the moment stopped us, the second one will be doing a playback theater about mental health with collaboration with our project, and I'm so excited about it. This is the little bag that we get from Suzanne making a change, and that's the flowers we actually got that night when we did the big presentation from people, which was absolutely amazing. Then we have poetry healing. We started the classes in the cabin studio about just sitting in the dark, reading a poetry in the dark and just absorbing. We're able to share everything with each other we're just making that safe place. So I'm just going to, and then we have drama classes that we're still doing online with the kids from disadvantaged areas. We have a little bit trouble connecting kids, young people from direct provision because of the system that is working in direct provision, and that is that they don't have Wi-Fi in their rooms or anything, so they have it only in shared areas. So we have difficulties to connect them to our classes, but the rest of the kids from disadvantaged areas, especially from Nook and the north side of Cork, they are enjoying our 6th week now of drama classes. And so that's our project. So basically what our idea is, just to break that stigma about mental health. We just want to make that fine thin line. I believe, because I went through direct provision, I had mental health issues myself, and I know system back in Bosnia was, oh my God, not even close to the one in Ireland. But even in Ireland, there is so much place to work on, because there is that line, is such a long line between patient and a doctor. And it just feels like forever. If you want to look for help, it feels forever to come to the point, to the final goal. So we want to be that thin line in between, who's going to be in between patient and in between doctor. We just want to make that safe place where people are open and free to explore what you don't need to have a mental health issue or anything like that. It's just, we want a place where people can explore what it is. We can explore it through art, through upskills, through education. And it just like, we want to make that place to be to say to young people, or to say in general, like on the local first level, to say, oh look, this is Cork. In Cork is allowed to speak about mental health without any problem. And then we want that to be on a national level. We want Ireland to be the first one which is breaking a stigma, that people in Ireland will be an example to the rest of the Europe and then to the rest of the world, how it is important to speak about these things. So as I put here, the future is today. So we want really more opportunities to everyone, equal opportunities. We want more art in life. We want more understanding, more friendships, because this is what the project is bringing us to. I swear, I don't know, this project brought me so much friendship that I can't even speak about. We want more freedom, and the main thing is that we will definitely come to the challenges every day, and we are actually facing the challenges every day. For someone is waking up from the bed, the biggest challenge that they will experience that day, but we are overcoming it, and we just want to be that safe place that is going to help people to overcome everyday challenges. So yeah, that's it. Thank you. If anyone have any questions. No, okay, so I'm giving it to Suzanne or whoever is.
So I think from our side, thank you so much to all the speakers. And like, even I found that so enlightening. I mean, I found loads of information there, and even for me, a lot of motivation. So hopefully you did too. We're going to leave space for people to ask questions if they want. If you feel like you don't want to ask questions now, you can come into the chat group, or you can just email us afterwards. We can help and support you any way you want. But I know we're nearly 11:30, so whatever people want to do, if you want to ask questions now, we're giving the space to do that. So the room is yours. If people don't want to ask questions there or anything like that, that's no problem. I think like it shows how clarity and how much information everyone presented as well. So hopefully we did our jobs today and people are like, yes, motivated to do this.
I could add actually that we're working on something.
Sorry?
I could just add that we're working on something that would help with doing the consultations, our K3 projects, dialogue. We're working on a kind of a youth participation, youth engagement cards pack for youth workers or people that work with young people or youth leaders. So I just wanted to flag that we're working on that at the moment. So it'll enhance the K3 experience and kind of maybe break it down a bit and give a kind of a step-by-step guide to working with young people through the process. So I can pass that on to you directly, because now we have your links, although it'll be, you know, on the Young Voices page and things like that in Lergus. But
it's great. We'll also have all our kind of resources and stuff. We're going to open our website after this on our Webinar Wednesday website as well. So if people want to check on that then. If there are no other questions, we might just take 2 minutes to do a Menti evaluation, if that's okay. For us, I think it's really important to kind of feed in what next steps or what other kind of learning people need or what other support people need during the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm just going to share my screen, and if people can log on to Menti, so the directions will be here. Let's see, wrong one.
Carmel.
Yeah.
I know we had a little slide as well, just on some next steps. So maybe at the end, if you want to share that, like
I can share that now. Actually, if you want to.
Yeah, just I know not everyone might have questions now or feel comfortable asking questions, but even just to kind of guide you a little bit, if you are kind of, you know, enlightened by this and are thinking about applying for a project. So we have lots of resources on our website, and I know Karma was saying she's going to send some out as well. There are 2 program guides for both of the programs that we were talking about today. They are very long and a little bit technical, but it is something that's worth familiarizing yourself with, because it really goes into the different kind of budget lines and things that you're that you can apply for, etc., the types of supports that are available. And if you don't quite know where to look, you know, please feel free just to get in contact with us. Talk to your colleagues, you know, staff that you work with, the young people, like Kay said earlier, you know, it's so inspirational to hear when the young people say, you know, we want to do this, or we have an idea. And I think like the programs that we manage, they really facilitate that as well. So I'd really encourage you guys, you know, to talk to the young people that you work with. Engage with us. There's lots of training opportunities. Carmel is our TCA officer, and there are lots of trainings that are available both to people in Ireland and also to travel abroad. Obviously things have been paused a little bit at the moment with the coronavirus, but we are trying to provide lots of opportunities online as well, like this. And like Carmen mentioned, there's lots more webinars coming up over the next couple of weeks. Once we're back up and running as well, we have lots of workshops, information days that we run on a regular basis. So keep an eye out for that, and attend any of the events. And yeah, just give us a shout. We're here to support you guys and to answer any questions that you might have. Thanks.
And I'll put in my email address for myself at the National Youth Council if you want to be added to the email that goes out to the young voices, because as I said, it's not for the young people, don't have to have been involved before to be involved now. We're doing online sessions all the time and are working on a training for youth workers as well. So I'll put my email address in the chat, and feel free to get in contact if you need support around your own KA3 and how to link it to the EU Youth Dialogue, or if you'd like to get your young people involved, maybe on the online sessions that we're doing at the moment.
And like the guy was saying, like us in Largus are really approachable. We're trying to get as many people in and take avail of these opportunities as possible. Especially with COVID now as well, people are apprehensive about traveling. They might be looking at other ways of engaging young people, and these in-house kind of activities from Key Action 3 and from the European Solid Core are amazing ways of doing it. Because you're all doing the work anyway, you're all engaging young people and you're working with young people on a day-to-day basis anyway. So this is just you're getting rewarded for doing it. You're getting the money to support them doing that. So it's a great idea. Okay, I'm going to share the Mentimeter now. So if people could really participate, that'd be great. It's just great for us to see what you need and what we need to do better, or what's going well as well. So it's great for us to get the feedback. So if you can go onto menti.com and use the code 346026, that would be great. So this will be the first thing. So sliding scale. I hope some of you have used Menti before. If not, it's quite easy. The Menti will guide you in what you need to do. But for here, we just were asking you to rate the following 3 areas. Oh, great. So it's in areas of quality of program, quality of input, and quality of practical information. So it's just to get your feedback as well. It'd be great. So I know we're over time, so I won't give it much time. I'll just give it a minute or so before we move on to the next slide, and then okay, I'll move on to the next slide. What elements of the training did you find most useful? So obviously, I think the presentations, the presenters were amazing. But if you find any other elements useful, please write it down here. We always find out as well that like we could talk blue in the face about what a program can do and kind of the technical examples of it, but like what we find people learn best from is from people who've done it and who have experience and can show you the impact and the outcomes from it, and who have the real passion in engaging the young people in it. So like for us, we're really glad to see this coming up as part of the evaluation. And then the next one, would you like to see any other themes or topics addressed by Webinar Wednesday? So we're looking at, hopefully, after this 8 weeks, if we see their demand there, like I think people's learning is going to change after this. Well, I can't imagine things going back to the way it was. So we're looking at seeing other kind of webinars or other kind of things like support organizations engaging in Erasmus Plus and European Solidarity core programs. So if you think there are any themes or topics you want for us to address, please write them down here, and we're happy to support in this. And then definitely, like Mina, I know Suzanne can talk about herself, but there are definitely workshops Suzanne hosts on how to do solidarity projects and on application clinics as well. In terms of Key Action 1 projects, and Suzanne, are you still there? And they're going to be a Project Lab Day on soon.
Sorry, what were you saying to me there?
So are they going to be a Project Lab Day on soon?
Yeah, so in August, actually, myself and the youth K1 colleagues are coming together to do a series of like this very short workshops, but kind of breaking down how to develop your project, which ultimately is how to write your application. So we're just finalizing the details on that, but it'll definitely be over the first 3 weeks of August. So we'll be out to you, but keep an eye as well on the calendar and the train center.
And I think and there's going to be Beat the Spark is also, hopefully we're going to be doing that online in September as well. And Beat the Spark is actually engaging young people in how to write the decision-making process and the projects as well for the solidarity projects. So we will be also doing a workshop on that in September. Give myself or Suzanne an email if you're interested in getting your young people involved in that. So from getting involved in the decision-making process and on the topic straight away. So if you want, please do that as well. Just give us an email afterwards.
And just to say, that's the event that Sana attended with Nora.
Okay.
So.
Okay, great.
So it does really spark change.
Yeah, great. And then the final one of these are any other comments. And I just want to say thank you so much for attending. Hopefully you'll see some of you again after other webinars we're hosting. I think next week we have one on digital youth work. So hopefully we'll see you there. And if you have any other questions after this or anything, please give us a shout and we're happy to help. And thank you for lovely comments and feedback. So I'm going to stop this now and say goodbye to everyone. See you guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Carmel. I'm actually just going to share my email as well if anyone has any other questions about K3 specifically. I'll just put that in the chat now.
Bye. Thanks very much for giving me the opportunity to present.
Thanks, Jean-Marie.
Thanks, Jean-Marie.
See you again
Right.
soon, hopefully.
Yeah. See you soon.
Bye bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Eleanor. Bye, Bernie.
Okay.
No. Okay. How did you know? Good. Oh, it's like, let me stop recording.